Hello and welcome to another Tier Maker special on the Football History Boys YouTube channel. Today we are looking at the entire history of the European Championships as Euro 2024 is soon to start. We're going to rank them in terms of what we think is the best tournament, and we have 5 different categories today. We have out of this world, excellent, good, average and poor. 16 Euros to get through, 1960 to start. Any thoughts?
I think it's a really interesting one, is that people have been shouting out the whole of the Euros. We did from 92 on, didn't we?
Yeah.
People saying, let's look back. We're the Football History Boys. This is what we do. So let's do it.
Right, Euro 1960 then. This was the first one. It was called the European Nations Cup. It was 4 teams in the tournament and it was won by the USSR. There was 9 goals in the first game. And it was an amazing tournament. I think it was 17 goals overall. For only 4 games.
Yeah.
So it was a real...
It was 2 semi-finals and a final and a third place playoff.
Yeah, it was a real festival of football, and it had a bit of political controversy because the quarter-final stage, which was like a knockout, Spain were drawn against the USSR but refused to play against them. Franco against the communist nation. A lot of mistrust going on there. The fear that if they lost to the communist team, that might inspire sort of social revolutions in their own countries. So, a bit of political heat there as well. What are we thinking then for this one?
Well, it kicks things off, doesn't it, on the European Championship front? We've got a World Cup. World Cup's well established by this point.
Yeah.
1930 on. 30 years later, they go, let's have a European tournament. The European Cup in domestic terms, or in club football's been going.
Yeah.
And so this is kicking it off on the international stage. If it didn't work, we wouldn't still have the Euros around, would we?
No.
And I think we've got to consider it good. You look at the goals per game, you look at early reviews of it, and people say, good tournament.
Good one. Right, so pretty good then?
Yeah.
Lovely. Right, on to 1964. Now this is interesting because Spain win at this time, playing the USSR in the final. So this one they did play, probably because they were the hosts, so they kind of had to, and they made it to the final. Obviously, that becomes like a big, massive victory for Franco in his sort of propaganda and use of sport and sports washing in that way. Not as many goals as on before, only 13 in this one, but carries that on. It was the last one that was called the European Nations Cup. After this is the European Championships. What are we thinking?
Is this one not quite as good? Maybe
I think so.
Average,
maybe average. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one certainly we don't know perhaps as much about. You don't hear much about it.
Okay, Euro 1968. This was in Italy. Notable because one of the games was decided on a coin toss.
Wow.
I think it was drawn. I think it was drawn again, or at least drawn once, and they decided to do a coin toss because this is 2 years before I think penalty shootouts were introduced. I think is Italy against the Soviet Union. So Soviet Union have a big say in the earliest days of the European Championships.
They do, yeah.
However, this is a very low one for attacking and goals. Maybe Italy, of course, that's the Catenaccio kind of era, isn't it, the 1960s?
It's a peak, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it's negative football. I think there's only 7 goals in the whole tournament. I think in 5 games. I think it's a really poor quality.
There you go. It's poor.
We're thinking poor?
It's into the poor.
Yeah, it's a great Italian team.
Yeah.
But we'll rank them another time. So let's put them to poor then. Sorry. Okay, Euro 72, Belgium, won by West Germany. So kind of the start of that West German sort of dominance in the 70s, really, and 80s. It's an amazing period for that country, seemingly reaching every single final of both the World Cup and the Euros. It was 10 goals, so a little bit more than before. They beat USSR in the final, so once again, the USSR playing their part. What are we thinking?
I think, obviously we know how important this West German side becomes. 2 years later, no spoilers, they win the World Cup on home soil. Incredibly important. This maybe 72 Euros is forgotten for some people when you look back at football, but it's people like Beckenbauer breaking through, becoming really, really important, leads into them hosting the tournament, the World Cup 2 years later. We know when we've talked about, and if you watch previous videos, if you haven't, check them out on the channel, particularly this period of football, it is one that we love and adore, really, isn't it? Football becomes great, really, in this period of time. We're not quite there at total football yet for the Netherlands.
No, almost.
But, I think it is, it's got to be at least average. It's whether
Yeah,
you think it could
let's
push
pop it
into
into
good.
average. Yeah, I think I don't think it's any better than
I think it's interesting what you say about the Soviet Union playing their part, isn't it? Because if you look at their history in a World Cup stage, they're not anywhere near it really. But when you look at them in a European stage, they dominated, and we forget, and maybe we forget the political side of this. Of this is communism versus capitalism across the whole continent. You know, we're in the midst of a wall being built in between Germany and in Berlin. We're in between, you know, massive tension in terms of missiles and all these different things going on. Countries not talking to each other, and yet they're being drawn to play each other in football.
Which is why sport's so good, isn't it? Yeah. It does bring the world together. Right, this is now the next one. Euro 76 really does epitomise the era. There's only tournament that I think really just truly defines sort of post-war, pre-1990 sort of world. Is this tournament Czechoslovakia?
Panenka?
Yeah, so this tournament. So Czechoslovakia are not now a country. They're two.
Yep.
West Germany isn't a country anymore. It's East Germany joined it. Yugoslavia isn't a country anymore. The Netherlands is, but those three of the countries in that tournament are the four don't exist. 75% don't even exist anymore.
Yeah,
this tournament was amazing. Now, I wrote an article about this. You can find it on our website last summer, and it was an amazing tournament. Every single match went to extra time,
which everyone loves.
Went the distance.
Bonus football.
But it wasn't 0-0s. This was goal scoring. There was in total 19 goals. So even more than the first Euro, so it was a lot of goals. I think it's 4.7 a game.
Yeah.
And of course, one on a penalty shootout, famously by Antonin Panenka, which really set the tone for that sort of flamboyance and flair in shootouts. Really.
Yeah. Everyone knows a Panenka nowadays. Every teenager, every child knows what a Panenka is.
Yeah.
Attempts to do it starts here. And I think when you look at that goals per game. When you've talked about it, you've written about it, I think it possibly pushes our first excellent.
It is. It definitely. I mean, it pushes out this world, to be honest, as well. I think what makes it excellent is that it's only 4 teams.
Yes.
If it was more, it'd be out of this world. Right, Euro 1980, another one held in Italy, won by West Germany. So West Germany carrying on that good form because they did lose one final before. So it was 3 finals on the spin. 27 goals. This is their first 8-team tournament. So the Euros has always been successful in its first 5 editions, and now it's got bigger. It has 8 teams, 2 group stages, and then I think a final and a third place playoff. I think that's all it was. Only 14 games. Decent though. Yeah. West Germany beat Belgium in the finals. Maybe a bit of a surprise there. We don't really know much about this one though, do we?
No, this one again, it's not as reported on. You don't see it in terms of lasting legacy and memory in for people's football consciousness, I suppose.
Let's pop it into average, shall we? Just sit it there. Yeah. Right, now the next one, France 84, has gained with it quite a cult status now. I think that French team in 84, whenever we ask on Twitter who your favourite teams of all time, often we get that French team of the 80s, don't we? We know about France in the sort of late 90s, 2000s and more recently. But this is the Platini side. Platini's got 9 goals in this tournament, which is sensational really for Euros. You never get a player with 9 goals, do you?
No, and I think we can forget how good he was as well, because obviously he's involved with UEFA and Blatter and things like that. I think his legacy in terms of our age, football fans, we sort of go, this guy involved in all these supposed corruption, things like that, and scandal. He was a quality footballer, wasn't he? And people talk about him in this tournament, and obviously for Juventus at a similar time, just being unbelievable footballer.
There's a French team, Jean Tigana as well. I think they'd almost got to the final of the World Cup before, and they carried it on, and they did amazing. I think it's good, it's excellent, I think it's up there.
Fine.
Yeah. Right, Euro 88. When you say that to someone, what's the first thing you think of?
I think of some nice goals for the Netherlands.
Yeah, including that one in the final. Yeah. Van Basten's volley.
And I think of the Netherlands actually doing it as well. That's it. The one and only time.
Not bottling it.
They've had some quality sides over the years. And they have. 2010 World Cup. 1974 World Cup. 78. This is the one where they finally get over the line. And
it's a sensational side, isn't it? You got that sort of AC Milan spine with Hullet and Rijkaard as well. Arenas Michels comes back to manage them for this tournament, famously in the Olympiastadion, that incredible stadium in Munich as well. Where's this going? 34 goals, so dropping goals not before.
I think he's got to be good. because you look at that side, it's a bit of an iconic side. They beat West Germany, who they lost to in the '74 World Cup final, on home soil in '74. 14 years later, they play them on home soil again, and they beat them this time. I think it's a good tournament.
Good. Okay. Right, let's go on to Sweden '92, the last of the 18 tournaments. The last of the back pass rule.
Yes, yeah.
The last of 2 points for a win as well. So this is like an end of an era, really. And if you notice, the logos we've used, this is also the last of this kind of ribbon, flag-shaped UEFA logo for the tournament. So it does kind of end an era.
Everything changes in 1992 for football, doesn't it?
It does. So the Euros as well. I don't think this was a great one in terms of football. I think generally it was quite poor. There was only 32 goals, so it dropped again. Obviously, though, we know why it's famous, and it's for Denmark, isn't it?
Yeah. Denmark didn't even qualify. They go to the tournament and they win it.
That's such a good story.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mental.
Mad. When you watch footage, though, you can see why football needed a back pass.
Yeah, you need to get rid of it. Yeah,
you need to get law, to bring in something that prevented that. And you think of the goalkeepers we have nowadays, who have to be able to play with the ball at their feet. This is where it begins, because you watch highlights of this and Schmeichel and the way they play, and certainly in club football too. But Denmark epitomised the get 1-0 up, you're under pressure, hold it back, pass to the goalkeeper, keeper picks up, release pressure.
Trying to score a second. What I would say maybe redeems this one as well is the semi-finals are really good. I think it's a 3-2 and a 2-2 in penalties.
Yeah.
Netherlands lose, Van Basten misses in the shootout. But I think the group stage is generally quite poor. What are you thinking?
I think it is knocked down.
Did we go average last time?
Yeah, and I think it still is average.
Yeah,
I think so. I get it. It was a great story, but beyond the great story, was the football great? Probably not.
No. Right, let's go on to Euro '96 again. This grown up in. Now, just a little disclaimer. We've done all this before. We've ranked these before, but we are revisiting them. We think there will be something that we do change. Euro '96, of course, growing up in the UK, has this sort of massive nostalgia linked to it.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's the greatest tournament to have ever existed.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case. This was the first 16-team tournament, so again, the success of it is growing and growing and growing. However, it wasn't that good. There wasn't many goals. The goals dried up. We only had 64 goals in the tournament, which I think was only just over 2.06 a game or something. Something really low.
Yeah.
Spectatorship was poor at times.
Good song.
Yeah,
three lines.
3 lines. Yeah. It was quite poor because even though they sold loads of tickets, when it actually came to the games, there was loads of empty seats. Because I think if it wasn't England playing, people didn't want to go and watch them, and there was still the hangover from the hooliganism of the 80s and around Europe.
That
so
uncomfortability of
foreign
travelling
fans
to England
didn't want to come to it, which you can understand. There was a few issues then, I think, after the semi-final with some sort of xenophobic abuse and stuff as well. But there was some big moments. Gazza's goal against Scotland with the dentist chair celebration. I think the England 4-1 Netherlands game. Obviously the final being settled by a golden goal, which is of its era. Bierhoff scoring, Czech Republic making the final. So there are some good stories there. But I don't think it really was as good as people think it was.
I think absolutely understandable. If you are a child of the 90s and this was right slap bang in the middle of your teenage years, say, this is going to be everything you want.
Oasis and Blur playing,
England going far in a tournament, should have won it, all this business that you still get. I understand it.
Southgate's pen, wasn't it? Yeah.
But when we look at it comparatively, is it only average, or is it? Could you push it into good for nostalgia's sakes? People would shout at us if we didn't put it in good. But as a tournament,
no, it's average.
Okay,
it's average. Right,
hey, we're Welshmen.
Yeah, exactly.
As we keep needing to say, we're not English.
And we didn't qualify.
Yeah, I get it.
Euro 2000. Now, when we ask Twitter what the best tournament of all time is, they usually say, this is up there, Euro 2000. The first jointly hosted tournament in Netherlands and Belgium. The goals flew in this tournament. It was a really good one.
Yeah.
There were some massive moments. So you think of I think it was Spain, Yugoslavia in the groups. and Spain are 3-2 down and heading out, and they scored 2 goals in the 94th, 95th minute. It's like something you see these days.
Yeah.
And it was massive. And then I remember the Netherlands side winning 6-1 against Yugoslavia again. Be really impressed. But then I think they even beat France this tournament. And then it was settled, of course, with that golden goal from Trezeguet, beating a really strong Italian side. So the teams are brilliant in this tournament.
And I think people love it again. If you think of that era of the 98 World Cup was a very good World Cup. People enjoyed it. Follows up straight off with another great tournament in year 2000.
Football is doing well at this point.
Some great sides, some enjoyable football when you watch highlights of this. I think for many people, this is going to push into the out of the world category.
I think it's out of this world, definitely. Right, up there it goes. Right, Euro 2004, it's probably the first tournament that I remember watching
fully,
pretty much all of it. This was great. Opening was Portugal and Greece. And the end was Portugal, Greece as well. You think Denmark was a great story, but the Greece winning it was equally almost. Obviously Denmark didn't qualify, but Greece winning it was equally as shocking at the time. It was amazing that they won it with that sort of neo Catenaccio style play, just score and defend, and it worked really well. Think of the Czech Republic Holland game, the 3-2.
Yeah.
Barros scoring the winner in that one, I think, or Smitsa, I think it was. It was an amazing tournament, I think.
It was, definitely. And again, for us, one of our first that we fully remember, 2002 World Cup, 2004 Euros. Loved it, absolutely obsessed with it. England again striving to try and get a little bit further, and they don't. And obviously, there's a whole drama.
The disallowed goal.
With the disallowed goal. I think it's probably an excellent tournament.
I think excellent. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
Right, now this one, Euro 2008, was when we had the most stick for last time. I think we put it in average. But I think we'll have to change it now. In hindsight, we obviously, it doesn't remain as memorable for us because we grew up in Britain and because there's no British teams in it.
No.
We don't hear as much about it these days. However, looking back, the Netherlands side of that tournament, their playing total football was sensational. I remember Wesley Sneijder really come into the fore. The Andrei Arshavin moment is, I think Russia made it to the semis, was a real shock. And he did the
he got a Premier League move on the back of it, didn't he?
Yeah. That was amazing. I think the other group, I think there was quite a lot of goals. Jointly hosted again the Turkey run, and they came back and they won 3-2 against Czech Republic, and they went to the semis. Just lost to Germany. It was actually, and then obviously Spain's tiki taka, the introduction to the world.
The introduction of it, isn't
when
it?
it was, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is the best football I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Before it got a bit boring.
Yeah. I think you're right there. We maybe undervalued it last time because Wales weren't there, but we were used to that then. It was unusual if Wales were there. So we lived through ITV, BBC, the broadcasters here, and their hype of a tournament is how far will England go.
Even if Wales and Scotland are in it, England will have 75% of the coverage.
Yeah.
Not that way.
You've been watching a Wales game, and at half time they'll throw to.
Let's go to the England camp.
Yeah. But that is how we watched tournaments. That's how we'll watch this coming tournament. Obviously, Scottish presence too, but this coming tournament will be in the same presence of how far will England go. Now, because England weren't there, that changes the way that they broadcast things in terms of it's just show a match. Don't worry about it. The hype is not there as much. In school, the hype is not there as much as we would have been at the time. But I do think it's a class tournament when you look at it. And we were taken with that Spain side. We really were. 2010 World Cup jersey there. I think it's great.
Euro 2012, Ukraine and Poland. I think we were in uni to this one. This was the Italy Pirlo on it, the Panenka.
I liked it.
It was good. Spain again winning. Now this Spanish team actually in that final when this was the false 9 Spain. This was the Fabregas playing as the number 9.
Yeah.
And it was sensational. And they demolished them in the final for 4-0. This was quite good. The Balotelli, where he took shirt off and did the celebration against Germany.
Yeah, that semi-final's ingrained in my memory. There's a couple of games in there in your life that you remember and just really like where I was. I was away, staying in West Wales with friends. Finished university, gone to stay in West Wales, and I just remember watching that game, and I was taken by it. I loved Balotelli at the time.
Yeah.
And that game is ingrained. So I really have really fond memories of this. Now, comparatively, is it as good as the other tournaments? That's the question, I suppose. Coming towards the end.
I'll give you some stats, shall Right, 2012 was exactly the same for goals per game as 2008.
Oh, that's interesting.
Exactly the same. So it kept
interesting.
It was the last of the 16-team tournament as well.
16-team tournaments were great.
Even the England-Sweden game was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Andy Carroll scored the header.
16 teams were great because you got good football.
Well, it was just right from the start, wasn't it?
From the start. There was no dead rubbers like you get in the World Cup or in some of the Euros now. Now they've expanded it.
Where does it go? Good?
Good.
That's a problem. Good.
Yeah.
Good's missing a few there.
Yeah.
Right, Euro 2016. I was going to have a little swig of my tea for this one because this is a special one for us, isn't it?
This is the best summer of my life. Like, bar none, and I don't know if I'll ever replicate it because Wales qualified for the first time for a full tournament, proper tournament since 58. Obviously, they'd been at some of the quarterfinals of the Euros as well, but certainly for us, this was everything we've dreamed of for our whole lives. Wales at a tournament, and Wales just getting there was good enough. Wales going on to get to the semi-finals was insane. We drew in the group with England, which is obviously exciting, but also, oh my gosh, I don't want to get embarrassed by England. We lose to England, horrific, awful in the last minute. But the run we go on, and that Belgium game, and I think everyone, even if you're not sympathetic to the underdog or to the Welsh or anything like that, you will remember games like that as just, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm witnessing.
Yeah, this is the underdog tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the Iceland doing well. Northern
Wales.
Ireland get into the last 16. I think Ireland beat Italy and got through as well. It was quite amazing.
Yeah.
The people who say the tournament is rubbish are generally from the big European nations.
Yeah.
If you're a smaller European nation and you did well, Albania, I think they got a point or something as well. They massive for them. This was everything.
It was incredible, and we just said we didn't want to be better than Cruyff. We didn't want to be embarrassed. We weren't embarrassed. We went on, and now we've talked about it in the past. We wanted to win that tournament. Now in hindsight, at the time we wanted to win it, but now in hindsight, you're like, what a missed opportunity it was in that semi-final against Portugal, who had only got there and they only beat us in normal time. We're the only team to lose to them in normal time. Obviously, the Iceland beating England, the whole dimension of that. Who was going to qualify top of the group, Wales or England? England get there, but then play Iceland
and lose.
And that was an amazing scene in the pub. Listen,
it's out of this world, isn't it?
We get that it's not for everyone, but for us, and you can never take that away from us, that is the best tournament.
Yeah, it's not out of this world, but it is for us. Yeah, right. Here's a stat though. Right. So 108 goals scored in Euro 2016.
Expanded, obviously.
Expanded 2014. So not that many goals. That's what 2014.
Yeah.
It's not many. Euro 2020, held 2021 for the year of COVID. 142 goals, so over 30 more goals in the tournament. However, Euro 2020 could have been out of this world, but can a tournament truly be out of this world if there's no one there to really watch it?
And if there's no hosts proper,
there's no hosts. Hosts are so important.
Yeah,
it
was a celebratory tournament, wasn't it, of the anniversary?
Yeah.
There was the COVID factor, although I don't think it necessarily played all the factor, but it certainly did in travel of fans. But if you haven't got a fan park you can go to, take France in 2016. People go in there, even if they didn't have tickets, went over to France, watched in the fan park. And all these tournaments would have been the same. And obviously, as travel's expanded, that's certainly become a bigger factor of it. This didn't happen. England effectively hosted it for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was there. They had the semis and the final, didn't they? Yeah. Pretty much all their games other than one was at home, wasn't it? I think it's pretty Ukraine away.
England make the final.
Yeah, and they lose.
Significant for English.
So that's good.
And they do lose. Chiellini pulling back Saka. That was very funny.
Yeah, the last minute, wasn't it? It's coming Rome.
It was a decent tournament. I think English people would say it was a good one, although you do lose in the final.
I think it is probably good.
I think it's good
because there's so many goals and there were some big games.
Yeah. It could have been. It had potential to be more. It wasn't there.
It had the potential to be out of this world, but I think it does just fall down because there's no fans.
Yeah,
and fans are what make football so special, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right, that is our final tier maker list for every single European Championships from 1960 all the way to 2020. What do you think? Agree with all this? Happy with it?
I do, but I don't think people will, and that is absolutely the point of doing
Interesting that
this.
there's 5 in the average category. 5 average tournaments there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, so Euro 2000 the best, really.
Yeah.
Euro 2016 for us.
For the fans.
And then 76, 84, 2004, 2008 in the excellent category as well. And the worst, Euro 68.
I don't think there'd be a huge amount of people watching this who will argue it. Maybe,
well,
if you watched it, if you
know.
loved it, if you were 8 years old watching that tournament,
let us know what we've missed.
Yeah.
Have we missed some, massive moment that we should have really discussed? Right, let us know what you think in the comments below. What is the best European Championship tournament of all time? Also, let us know in the comments who you think is going to win Euro 2024. How far do you think your nation will get in the tournament as well? Who are you supporting if you're not supporting your own nation, or if your own nation hasn't qualified? Comment all that below, and we'll love to read it. And if that's everything, we'll see you again for the next one very soon.